G'day, welcome back to Waller Customs. I'm Brent Waller and I'm back with the fifth and final installment in my series of advice for LEGO Ideas creators. This time we're going in depth with the final part of my LEGO Ideas formula, the promotion. Just remember that the promotion is the cumulative effect of your idea, build and presentation. The better those three things are, the more your promotion will have impact. The ultimate goal of your promotional material is that anyone who sees it wants that thing so badly that they'll not only go and vote for it straight away, but they'll share it with their friends and spread the word for you because they want it to exist so badly.
Shut up and take my money!
Basically, your promotional material needs to bridge that gap between people's imagination of your pitch and it being a real LEGO set. And while I think of that, don't make box mock-ups of your set as if it was a real LEGO set. It's against the rules.
I was not aware of that.
So how do you promote your LEGO Ideas project? As a normal citizen of the earth and the internet, social media is your tool to promote your project. You probably know a lot of this stuff, but I'm going to go through it from the ground up, so hopefully you'll get some little tidbits throughout and maybe some things you didn't consider.
I did not realize that. Russell, did you realize that?
No, I did not realize that.
You've got Facebook obviously, and you've got a lot of LEGO fan groups on there that you can use to promote your project. You've also got a lot of niche groups within that, not just with LEGO, but whatever your project is about, whether it's a particular IP or a movie or a car, try and seek out those groups and join those groups to help spread the word about your project to people who may be into that certain thing, but not necessarily into LEGO, but would love to see a LEGO version of whatever you're creating. And there's even a few Facebook groups that I created specifically for LEGO Ideas projects, but I would avoid groups where they promote a support for support style structure or vote for vote style support system.
And if you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
Wait a minute. Is he coming on to me?
They may help you to get that initial groundswell to get 100 votes or even 1,000 votes, but that's not going to have a long-term impact on getting you towards 10,000 votes. It's giving you a little bit of a false sense of achievement and not giving you the correct type of promotion you need to get beyond that audience and get to that 10,000 votes. And then you've got Reddit, where you've got subreddits for specific LEGO fan groups, and you've got specific fan bases and subreddits for particular interests that may be relevant to your project. But with both Facebook and Reddit, read the rules on both the groups and the subreddits because there's specific rules about self-promotion on both of those places. And then there's Twitter, which honestly I haven't had a huge amount of success with myself. I find it fairly dead in the water every time I try, except for the one time I posted the video for the solar system project, which got retweeted over 1,000 times and did quite well. But I think that's mainly because I spent so much time refining and perfecting that video as best I could that impact was pushed through because of the quality of the video itself. And we'll get to the videos later on. We've got TikTok, which I've not had a lot of experience with myself, but from my limited use of TikTok, I get a sense that people who are on that ecosystem of TikTok, the app, are less inclined to go outside of that and follow a link to something that's promoting something else outside of the TikTok ecosystem. I don't think that's a reason not to use it. I just suggest not leaning too hard on the TikTok promotion alone. And then we've got YouTube, which is from the very first LEGO Ideas project I did a video, and I felt that was the best and most concise way to communicate what your project is about to an audience as quickly and concisely as possible. And that doesn't mean I make videos exclusively for YouTube, it just means I always make a video for my projects now. And then you've got Instagram, which whatever video you create for YouTube or other platforms, you can also post to all these other ones as well. Just remember that Instagram is very much a more visual, image-based platform. So that means that when you're showing your project on Instagram, you may need to actually embed some text inside your images to tell people that it's actually a LEGO Ideas project and tell them what the whole process is about. For all of these things, you have to consider that anyone who's seeing your project for the first time may not have any understanding of what LEGO Ideas is about, particularly if you're trying to leverage a fan base for something that's not traditionally into LEGO. So keep that in mind whenever you're posting anything. Try and picture that the person on the other end of it doesn't know anything about LEGO, let alone LEGO Ideas, but they may be interested in your project. So you need to explain the process. You need to get this thing to 10,000 votes. That needs to be clearly explained to anyone who's seeing your project. Just make sure you embed some text into your images on Instagram in particular, just so people are aware that it's not just another mock that's being posted on a cool image of something. It's actually something they can go and vote for. And when you're watching this, there may be some new fancy upcoming social media platform that I'm not aware of, and there's numerous other social media platforms as well. And that'll come down to your own personal use, what you use for yourself, and how big that platform is. So you kind of want to leverage your time and don't spend too much time on a platform where there's not a lot of users, or particularly not a lot of LEGO users. But no matter how good of a following you have on social media, it can't beat a great idea, well executed and well presented. Take the solar system project again as an example. It was a joint project between myself and Chris Orchard. I have a little over 2,000 followers on LEGO Ideas, and in the grand scheme of things, not very many followers on other platforms. And that project we decided we'd submit under Chris's name. And Chris didn't even have a LEGO Ideas account. He had to sign up for one for this project. And that project is the fastest I've ever gotten to 10,000 votes on LEGO Ideas. It took 1 month to the day, despite Chris having no followers on LEGO Ideas and literally no footprint anywhere else on social media. From what I can tell though, there's actually no correlation between how long it takes your project to get to 10,000 votes and the likelihood of it being approved or not. LEGO may take that into account when they're reviewing projects, but I don't think it's really a deciding factor. So it's the social media platforms, right? What are you actually supposed to post? You can post the direct link to your project on LEGO Ideas, and depending on the platform, that should post the main image that you've used on your LEGO Ideas project. That's why that main image is so important, because regardless of whether you're seeing it on LEGO Ideas or externally on other platforms, that's the first thing most people are going to see. You can post a collection of images or even a video into an album on a platform if the platform allows for it. And in my opinion, as I mentioned earlier, the most important thing is a video, but we'll get to that in more detail later on in this video. First, I just want to talk a little bit about sharing your projects. In most cases, you don't just want to post the link to your project, you want to add some text to it to get some personal connection between you and the person who's seeing it. When you're posting, don't just say, vote for my LEGO Ideas project or support my project. You want a little bit more connection between you and the person who's viewing it. Frame it more like, here's this cool thing I've made, and if we can get 10,000 votes for it, LEGO might consider it to be a real set. And that goes back to what I was talking about before, and making sure that whoever is seeing this, imagine they know nothing about LEGO Ideas. You've got to put a little context there so they understand what they're voting for. And add a little personality to it. People like a story, but you want to keep it short as well. And what you don't want to do is spam. You don't want to post the same thing over and over again. There's a fine line between promotion and spam. You don't want to annoy people. My rule is new content equals a new post. That means you don't want to post the same thing over and over again if people have already seen it. It could be as simple as just a new photo or an image that people haven't seen before. Maybe it's a new angle of your project that people may not have seen, a close-up or a detail of one of the features it might have, or it might even be a photo of your build next to an existing LEGO Ideas set, so people can appreciate the size and scale of your objects compared to something they may already know. And the link you post, you can just take that link directly from the LEGO Ideas website or share it directly from the LEGO Ideas website. I've tried a few different things, like I've tried using TinyURL or other URL shorteners to try and make the URL a little bit cleaner and shorter. I've even tried buying a domain for one of my projects to try and redirect to the LEGO Ideas website to try and get votes that way, but I found it really makes no difference in the long run. If people are interested in your project, they'll vote for it regardless of what the link looks like. Alright, now class, I'm going to talk a little bit about behavior and etiquette when it comes to sharing your projects on social media. I mentioned a little bit before about not spamming, but I want to go into a little bit more in depth about things that you should and shouldn't do. And some people are really not going to like some of the things I have to say here, but I just feel like they need to be said. Don't contact people or DM people specifically with the purpose of asking them to vote for your project or to share your project for them. It's bad manners and it's not going to help you in the long run. Because the person who's excited for your project and wants it to become a real thing, they're 1,000 times more beneficial to your project and more powerful than someone you've asked just because they've got a lot of followers. Because that person who loves your project, they're more likely to share it with like-minded individuals on Facebook pages and other groups that have already got the same interests. And specifically on the LEGO Ideas platform, don't post on other people's projects asking for people to vote for your project. It's actually against the rules on LEGO Ideas.
That's a peddling.
And similarly on social media, if someone's posted their project, don't go posting in the comments asking for people to vote for your project or here's mine as well.
Oh, you better believe that's a peddling.
Whatever response they're getting for their project, it's not your place to interject your project into it. Have some respect for your fellow LEGO Ideas fan creators and keep it about their project, not yours. Now, I don't know if this actually happens, but I would think a company the size of LEGO would actually do a little bit of a background check on people who they may want to approve for a LEGO Ideas project, and that may just be checking social media to see if you've got any problematic opinions or posts. But the question is, does LEGO want to be associated with you? Once you've initially submitted your project and it's live for voting and you've done your initial amount of promotion, generally you have to go beyond that. It's not just a fire and forget. You need to try and maintain that interest in your project and try and avoid your project dropping down the popular list on the LEGO Ideas website and dropping out of view. So remember, you've got those key milestones you need to hit to make sure your project doesn't expire. But in my experience, it's more beneficial to take your time beforehand to really nail and perfect your promotional material so you can really hit the ground running before you go live and smash it out of the gate. Let's take two of my projects as examples. Seinfeld, for example, was one of the fastest projects I've put together for LEGO Ideas, probably a week in total.
It's been 1 week.
It was a weekend to develop the actual apartment set, and the remainder of that week was putting together the character designs and refining the video. But once it went live, I actually spent the 3 months it took to reach 10,000 votes developing promotional material. And that promotional material was brand new content I didn't have before. So I was recreating scenes from the TV show, editing together new videos. I even poorly attempted an animated sequence that didn't work out very well. And I did all of that to try and maintain and push that momentum I had initially so it didn't drop off. At one point I was putting out a new image or a new sequence nearly every day. It was actually great fun to do that, but it's really exhausting.
It's too much! It's too much!
And on the other hand, we've got the Clockwork solar system. Chris and I took about 15 months to put that together from the time we started the project to when we submitted it. With the last 2 or so months of that time was me spent refining the visual design, importing it into Blender, animating all the gears and rotations, rendering out all the footage, and then cutting it together into the video we used to promote it. And that time paid off because the work we put into that video helped to promote the project from day one and made it the fastest project I've ever gotten to 10,000 votes. All because that video sold the project wholly, convincingly, and was entertaining in its own right.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey.
So unlike other projects, I didn't have to do any subsequent promotion after it went live and after that initial push of promotion with that video. It was being shared by other people for us, and we even had articles written about the project. That's why I'd recommend, again, not rushing. Getting it right the first time means you do less work later on. But if you've already launched your project and you've missed that opportunity to get that initial momentum you'd hoped for, go back to the idea of new content equals new promotion. If you're posting the same thing over and over again, you're not getting momentum. Posting the same thing again is not going to get you more momentum. Try different things. And as I mentioned, videos are one of the best ways that I've found success to draw people in to vote for your project on LEGO Ideas. And any video you make has 2 goals it needs to reach.
1.
The first one is to ensure that the video does a good job of explaining what your project is about, what features it might include, and what other relevant information it might have to convince people to vote for it. It is a sales pitch after all, so you don't want to leave anything ambiguous. You want to make sure you've explained everything there is to possibly know about your project. You don't want to tease anything. You just want to leave it all up on Front Street, with no questions at the end of the video.
2.
And the second goal your video needs to hit is it needs to be entertaining in its own right.
Are you not entertained?
You don't want them to be bored at the end of the video, you want them to be excited, you want them to go vote for it, and more importantly, share it with their friends. I try and keep my videos as short as possible, generally around a minute-ish. You want it to be short, punchy, impactful, and not outstay its welcome. My process is to generally find a piece of music around the right length that's appropriate for what I'm creating, and try and build the video around that. You don't have to do full motion videos with movement. It's great if you can. Either recorded footage of a physical build or animated digital renders, but you can also use just still images, so whether that's photos or renders, with a little bit of panning or motion for a little bit more dynamic action, and you'd be surprised how far you can go with just still images and a little bit of creative movement. I've used both these techniques myself in the past. And like some of the other topics I've covered, I'm not going to go into specifics of video editing techniques. There's far more qualified people than me on the internet that can teach you all this stuff, and far better than I can. There's plenty of great free software out there on the internet, anything from complex professional software like DaVinci Resolve, which is what I use myself for the video you're watching right now, to simple video makers that you can find on phones or tablets. There's a plethora of options out there for a variety of skill levels.
Jefe, what is a plethora?
Why, guapo?
Well, you told me I have a plethora. And I just would like to know if you know what a plethora is. I would not like to think that a person would tell someone he has a plethora and find out that that person has no idea what it means to have a plethora.
And you can either embed that video directly into LEGO Ideas, upload it to YouTube, Instagram, wherever you like. And with that, I'll wrap up the last video in my series. If you've gotten this far, I hope you've gotten something out of this series. I'll be honest, I've been doing this for completely selfish reasons. I frequently get asked by people how to get their project to 10,000 votes on LEGO Ideas, but there's no one simple answer to that question. This is my way of getting some of that information out of my head, so next time someone asks me, I can just send them the link to this video. Hopefully one day I'll read through the comments and someone will say, hey, I used this information to get my project to 10,000 votes on LEGO Ideas, or even better, my project's been approved and that's going to be the next LEGO idea set. But for now, I'm signing off. I'm going to be back very soon with some exciting news about my Seasons in Time calendar, so I'll see you next time.